Welcome back, everybody. Let's get into week 5 of the college football season. Glad to have everybody back here with Sean and Drew as always. Hey, let's go ahead and kick it off. Going into 12 o'clock on Saturday, we got Florida on the road at Kentucky. This is an interesting game. Florida is ranked right now. I still do not think Florida is a complete or a really good team, which is why I'm surprised that they're even ranked ahead of Kentucky. Kentucky being an undefeated team right now in the season. I know they're resume, so to speak, is not that good. They hadn't really played anybody. Vanderbilt was probably their most experienced team that they played so far on their season, judging by Florida. But the fact that this game is at home for Kentucky, I think will be huge. I think noon is an okay time for Kentucky too. They play better during the day. And the fact that I'm surprised with the spread on this one, Kentucky being a 1-point favorite. This is another game where maybe Vegas has some more information than we have right now at the moment. But to me, I think it's an easy pick. I got Kentucky winning this one. I think Kentucky plays a more consistent style of football through 4 weeks of the season than Florida has, and that's why I got them winning this game. What about you, Drew?
I'm gonna take Florida on this one, man. I like Florida Gators on this one just because they rolling with momentum. I think overall they had two big tests this year, and yes, they failed one in their first game against Utah. They passed the bigger one in Tennessee. So to me, I think that if they ride that momentum, they faced Charlotte last week. I didn't think they put a complete game together, but overall, I think overall had the momentum still from Tennessee to win a big game. Kentucky's aspect of it is I feel like they have it together in big moments. These type of games. This is going to be a big moment for Kentucky's overall team and Florida coming into town. I got Florida winning by at least 2 touchdowns.
Wow. Okay. I'm kind of with Van here. I still don't know what part it is. I know where they are. They're like in Gainesville, I believe, but I still don't think they're a worthy opponent. Not even for Kentucky at this particular point in time. Shock me, please. You're number 22 in the country. I don't understand why, man. I don't get it. Kentucky, I think Kentucky is a team that's built for a game like this. Kentucky's got an opportunity to go 5-0, okay, and really continue to build some momentum. They'll jump into the top 25 victory over Florida because Florida is ranked. This will be the toughest team that Kentucky's played. I just think Kentucky has too much, man. I'm not a believer in Billy Napier. Devin Leary, I think, is good enough to get it done. I got Kentucky by 6.
Well, I'll say one quick point why their Florida is ranked is because of big time games. That win against Tennessee in the imagining and the potential of who Tennessee could have been was truly a shakeup because it kind of knocks Tennessee off their pedestal. So Florida has shown that they can prove it in big time games. Now it's going to be, can you prove it on the road? Kentucky hasn't played nobody. So they look good against average opponents.
Yeah.
I really want to see what's going to be a big game. I got Florida, but it's going to be interesting. I like both y'all points. Definitely going to be interesting.
Yep. Moving on to another 12 o'clock game. We got a neutral site game being played at the Cowboy Stadium in Arlington. You got Texas A&M playing Arkansas in their rivalry game. Texas A&M is a touchdown favorite right now. I'm honestly going to go out on a limb right now. We're not even going out on a limb. I'm going to pick Arkansas in this game. I think what Arkansas showed last week, I think that game against LSU slipped away from them. Really, time management was awful at the end of that game, and then losing by a field goal at the end of the game kind of hurt them. But I think Arkansas, again, kind of like Kentucky, is a more consistent team right now. They know who they are. They know what they're bringing to the table week in and week out. I got them getting the win against A&M on Saturday. Another big hit for A&M is going to be losing Connor Wegman for the season with his foot injury and having to go to Max Johnson right now. How will this offense look? Because Connor Wegman was dealing. Some of their games weren't the prettiest, but they were putting up points every week. Their offense gelled with him behind center. I want to say it's going to look different with Max behind center now instead of him, and that's why I'm giving that edge to Arkansas in this game. I got them taking this one home.
I think in this one right here, to me, I'm going to right there with you with Arkansas. I think overall what we saw in Arkansas last week was a wake-up call. They really woke up their season in the aspect of facing a big-time team and almost pulling out the win. I really thought they was going to take it. So to me, I think Texas A&M is going to be a first-half tough test. it's not going to be a full 60-minute test. I think when it comes to Arkansas as a tougher team, I think they have better identity on what they want to do with the offense, and I think their defense can make plays to stop a backup quarterback. People don't even really understand the magnitude of losing your starting quarterback and how the confidence of the team believed in that guy. It's almost like the Zach Wilson effect. When you got the backup coming in, people really don't think he can flow like the starter. So we're going to see what Max Johnson can do. I got Arkansas winning by at least 3 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a landslide because that Texas A&M defense to me is unimpressive.
You're absolutely right. The only thing Texas A&M really has going for them in this Wegman being hurt situation is that the backup, I believe he did start a couple games last year.
Right.
I don't think the backup is just trash, but he's not Wegman.
Right.
And you're right. Arkansas, the BYU game was close. They should have won that game. Of course, LSU almost slayed that dragon. Y'all know I'm a big fan of Sam Pittman. He just needs a little more time. I hope Arkansas can be patient with him while he continues to build his program because he is going to end up being a really good coach in the SEC. I got Arkansas by 10.
All right, moving on to the primetime CBS game. We got Georgia finally going on the road for a big game, going to Auburn. Georgia is a 14-point favorite. But I tell you what, Auburn, kind of like the Penn State game last year, their fans are going to show up. No matter how bad the team is, no matter how bad they look, they're going to show up. That is going to be a packed house. And I tell you what, I'm picking Georgia in this game. I'm not going for an upset. Georgia's going to win it. But I tell you what, and that's based on Auburn doesn't have it put together yet. I think we're going to see a lot more of I forgot what his name, Ashford, the backup quarterback, over
Robbie Ashford.
Yeah, Robbie Ashford. I think we're going to see more of him this week instead of Peyton Thorne. And it's not to knock Peyton Thorne, but I just believe that when you put Robbie Ashford out there, he brings a different dynamic to this offense. They seem to kind of click a lot faster with him out there. And it could be that he's just used to those other players on the offensive side of the ball because he was their main guy last season. Georgia, once again, last week, got off to a slow start. And this is becoming a very dangerous trend for them because you're going to run into the right team that's going to jump onto you, that's going to get on you quick. I don't think Auburn can do it, but I think South Carolina they showed you can do it. Going back to that game again, and they just didn't have it in the second half to kind of pull it out. But I tell you what, I don't think Auburn can do it, but it'll be interesting to see right now how Georgia looks in their first true road test into a tough environment in Auburn to see how they perform this weekend. I got Georgia taking it. I think there will be a fairly easy game for them. I think they will end up winning this game by over 20 points. I don't think Auburn can score with them at all, but I do want to see how this game is going to start out at the beginning and how Georgia looks at the beginning.
Yeah, Georgia to me is interesting. Looking a little bit at the scenes and extra access that Kirby Smart's been giving us to certain little clips. I really feel like he's coaching his team on a half-by-half basis. I really feel like he's trying to pull all the tricks and the trades to really get them motivated enough to do what he wants them to do. They have too much talent to lose a game like this. So Georgia's going to win this one pretty much by 3 to 4 touchdowns. But to me, it's like I'm comparing you not against Auburn. I'm comparing you against the rest of the country. And right now, to me, Georgia is a top 5 team, but they're not somebody that's really taken over the country like they did in the past 2 years. So I really want to see them come at this game as a statement game and says that we are the Georgia of old. Yeah, we look different, but we have that same type of swagger, that same type of heat that's coming to an away game, and we're going to take over the team, take over the stadium, really what I mean. And I think Auburn is going to have a packed house. But when your first point is about Auburn fan base, not about the football team, it's nothing you can really say. I think they have a true quarterback issue that, to me, Hugh Freeze doesn't have the talent on the roster to solve. They need a couple more years to really get what they're cooking ready. To me, the Georgia's going to sweep this one and move on to the next one in Vandy.
So I heard a stat that I almost couldn't believe about Auburn. Now, you guys are completely correct. The best thing they got going on for them right now, this game is at home. The pom-poms are going to be out. The daggum eagle going to be flying down. I mean, it's going to be electric. And if Georgia starts slow, if Auburn can figure out some kind of way to manufacture some points, they could be in this one for a half. But in Auburn's last 5 Power 5 games, they have not had a quarterback throw for over 100 yards.
God damn.
Let that sink in for a second. That's where Auburn is right now. Okay. And it's probably going to end up being number 6 after Saturday. I don't see, Ashford's going to run it. Thorne can't throw it. He's having confidence issues. You can just look at him and tell he's just not confident like he needs to be. I'll give Hugh Freeze all the credit in the world for doing what he's doing with what he has, but it's not going to work on Saturday. I got Georgia big, 21 points. It's going to be over midway through the third quarter.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the 4:00 game. We got Missouri going on the road, going to Vandy. I think this will be an easy win for Missouri to get this one to move to 5-0, which is crazy to me. To talk about them in this light, but I mean, hey, it is what it is. You're 5-0. You've had a couple of tests already. The interesting part about it is, I think Missouri needs to use this game as a get healthy type of game before you get ready to go take on LSU. Brady Cook is once again another week in the questionable to play dealing with injuries book. He's got to get right if this team is going to continue this role going forward. I tell you what, they got a certified wide receiver in London Burden the third, whoever. Yeah, he is a monster out there at receiver. They got weapons that they finally figured out kind of who they are. They looked good last week against Memphis. The defense is still questionable, which has been a concern for Missouri this season. People have been able to put points up on them, but it's not going to be Vandy putting points up on them. They're gonna have control of this game, and they're gonna end up winning this one fairly easy. But they do need to go ahead and get healthy, get this game over with before halftime, get your backups in there, and so that way you can try to focus on the next week. Don't look ahead, but go ahead and get ready to focus on the next week, having LSU come to town to take you on.
I'm right there with you. I think Missouri is a talking point. They are ranked. I want to give them a good round of applause for succeeding in their easy part of their schedule. So, now we're going to get to the real true test. Y'all faced one good test, and y'all slipped by that one on an amazing field goal. Great job. Now you're about to get into the SEC test. It's going to be a little bit different. You're about to get beat up. You're going to go on the road. You're going to face teams that's going to be more competent than Vandy. So this should be your last game to really say any kinks we got going on with this team to get them out the way. To me, when I watch their team, I really feel like they're struggling in the identity of their run game and their true overall defensive physicality. I'm like, I really want to see y'all just take over games. I really want to see the defense from last year, but it's really not there. So Vandy is going to be a team they can be the big brother on and beat up on. Take advantage of your star receiver, and let's keep on pushing to next week. Missouri by 2 touchdowns.
This will be an easy one. 5-0 looks great next to Missouri. The slate ahead or after that is real tough, but hey, let's go ahead and get it while we can, right?
Right.
They're winning close games, which is something that all teams need to learn how to do, is win ugly and win close. And they'll do it against Vanderbilt. I do think the game is going to be relatively close. I do question how good Missouri actually is from a complete organizational perspective, offense, defense, special teams. We'll see them struggle a little bit against Vanderbilt. They will win the game. I got them winning by a touchdown. 5-0, baby.
All right, moving on. We got LSU is going to Ole Miss to take on Ole Miss. I got LSU is a 2.5-point favorite. I got LSU winning this one easy. I really do. I know it's crazy to say right now, but Lane Kiffin is, I think the stat I just heard a couple days ago is like 2-11 or 2-10 against teams that finish in the top 5 at the end of seasons. And it seems like they hit their mark. They looked decent, but it seems like every time they get that first kind of shocking loss or big loss to them, which is usually the Bama game, they kind of fall apart after that, and they start looking like a team that doesn't know who they are anymore. And I think this is what is getting ready to happen again. It benefits them that they're at home. I think they'll have the crowd behind them. I think Jackson Dart is the right guy. I don't think any changes need to be made. I think they're a good team, but I think LSU, what happened with LSU last week is LSU is starting to kind of roll offensively. You're starting to see them click. You're starting to see Jaden Daniels get to the point where he, like he did last season, midway through the season, start understanding what he's seeing, understanding what he's doing. And it all started with that Mississippi State game and then rolled into that Arkansas game. I think the Arkansas game had more so to do with LSU's defense. And to me, I was under the impression that LSU's defense this season was supposed to be upgraded. I think their defensive line was supposed to be, a very strong point of their defense. They were supposed to be able to manhandle the pass rush, and we just hadn't seen it yet. The secondary looks questionable at best, which is something that Ole Miss can take advantage of. But I just think I'm putting this more so on, I don't know what version of Ole Miss I'm going to see coming to this game. I know LSU is going to go into this game and put up points. I can't say the same thing about Ole Miss, even though they should be able to, which is why I'm going with LSU to win this game on the road.
So this one is very, very interesting to me. LSU, to me, is the better team. They are the more complete offense. I think they have more of a better identity in what they want to get done between their star players, between their wide receiver and their quarterback. Jaden Daniels has been consistent enough. He's proven that he is that guy. To me, this is the statement game for Ole Miss, though. It's not about LSU. It's about Ole Miss. To me, yeah, you had your chance in Bama, but it's not a Bama segment. I'm not going to talk about Bama too deep, but I think we're going to see how crazy Bama defense is versus Ole Miss offense. LSU does not have that same type of defense that can really slow this team down. To me, when it gets to it, we took Ole Miss out of their comfort zone. They're going to be in their home stadium. They're going to be ready for this game. It's going to be right there in their primetime moment. They're going to be more healthy for this game. They're going to have a more complete overall game plan, what they want to get accomplished. I don't think they're going enough to win, so it's a hype up for nothing. Sorry, Ole Miss fans. But I think overall we'll see a different side of Ole Miss to be in position to make the big play. I think Lane Kiffin's going to have the perfect plan for somebody like Brian Kelly. Going to be a shot of welcome to the SEC. To me, this is Ole Miss games to take over, because to me, after this, they're going to coast a little bit before they get to Georgia. So to me, I want to see Ole Miss really fight their ass off, because they can beat LSU because of LSU's defense. Now, if LSU comes with a complete game plan, offense and defense, special teams, like Sean said last segment, it's going to be a wash. I think they can take this game early. But if they stumble, Ole Miss is a team, Lane Kiffin is the coach to snatch you up, especially at his home stadium.
Man, guys, what this game is so. I'm trying to figure out who has the most pressure to win.
I don't know.
I mean, if LSU loses, that's their second loss. If Ole Miss loses, second loss. Okay, you still got a little bit of hope in the SEC. Maybe not. You can't afford. Ole Miss can't afford a second SEC West loss.
Nope.
LSU can't afford a second loss, period. LSU has national championship aspirations. I can't say the same for Ole Miss, okay? If LSU loses this game, what's this, week 5?
Yeah.
National championship aspirations are gone. What are they playing for now?
Yeah.
What are they playing for? I don't know. I think LSU has more to gain from a win. I think LSU is a better team overall. I think Brian Kelly is a better coach overall. But I think Ole Miss is going to win the game. Ole Miss is hurting from getting their butts kicked last week. Lane Kiffin's a good coach. You heard me talk about Lane Kiffin a lot. Helter-skelter. You never know what you're going to get. But if you get the right one, he'll dial you up. So, man, I got Ole Miss at a very, very close one by 3. Ole Miss by 3.
So one quick segment about Jackson Dart as a quarterback. Do you think last week he showed you more proof that he can go in there and win this game?
He
I think last week he played a good game as a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I think, to me, Bama's defense is the truth.
That's what
So you
happened
faced it, 2 corners lock you down. You faced it stuff that you really weren't prepared for. You got a couple shots, yeah, but I think he can take advantage of this LSU defense. And you're at home. If that game for Bama last week was in Ole Miss, it would be a different outcome. Totally different outcome. So now LSU's got to go on the road. I truly believe they got what it takes to do it. But I think one slip up, this team's going to be back to what we saw early in the season of we lost our identity again. I just hope it's not this week.
Yeah.
I got Ole Miss losing by maybe 4, maybe a touchdown, but they're going to be in position to win this game. They're going to be in position.
Yeah.
And let me bring something back up real quick about this Ole Miss team. And this is just rumblings that I've heard, just either it being online or from people that I know that live over in that area. And there are some rumblings over there about, is Lane Kiffin the right guy? Because they've gone season after season after season of so much high hopes. And then you can't just get over the hump to make that step to being one of the top SEC West teams, especially when you're getting ready to drop out of having divisions. Now you're going to have to be one of the top SEC teams total, not just in the West where you're just hoping to kind of hang around that 2 spot. You got to be one of the top 2 in the entire conference to move forward. And it's just interesting to me because I don't think there's another coach out there that you can bring in that's going to be a better coach than Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not regarded as a very high-profile job. Yeah, it's in the SEC, but you're not going to go poach one of these big-time names to come and coach Ole Miss, which is why I don't think it would be wise to part ways, because I do think he's a great coach. I do think he's a good recruiter, and he can get players in there. It's interesting to me hearing that some of the people over there are kind of rumbling that, hey, maybe it's time to move off him right now. What do y'all think?
I wouldn't move off of him. I think he's a perfect fit for Ole Miss. Ole Miss has, even when Eli Manning was there, Ole Miss was not a school that folks would say, oh, okay, wow, this is a national championship caliber team. Okay. I think Lane Kiffin is about as good a coach as they can get currently. And what you're seeing on the field is about some of the best football I've seen from Ole Miss in a very, very, very long time. I'm not saying that Lane Kiffin is the ceiling, like in the future, but right now, he is the ceiling. I couldn't think of anybody. I mean, like even the guy up in Oregon, I think Dan Lanning, I think he's a fantastic coach. He's an up-and-coming coach, but he's already at Oregon. You know what I'm saying? They can't get somebody like him because he's already at a big school. So who would they get? I think it would be asinine for them to let go of Lane. But with that being said, they need to figure out why Lane folds, why his teams can look so good sometimes and how they can look so bad at others. Figure that part out, readjust y'all's expectations, be cool with a team that goes 8-4, 9-3, challenges for the West from time to time. I think that's about as good as Ole Miss's. I think that's what Ole Miss's ceiling is in the SEC, to be honest with you, especially in the West.
Yeah. To me, I think Lane Kiffin is the guy. I think he's the guy that's going to get them maybe to a national championship one day within the next maybe 5 to 10 years. But I think, to me, he doesn't have the coaching staff around him to develop talent. That's my lack of stuff I see from Ole Miss. I see you get a recruiting class in the top 10, but I'm like, where are these guys? Where are these recruits that's supposed to get in their potential? Jackson Dart, to me, in the receiving corps now, some of them were transfers, but now they got the guys that are showing up in big-time moments. They're not fully healthy, though. So I feel like he is struggling with the aspects of consistency that's coming from stuff he can control, stuff he can't control. But I think if you get a good coaching staff around him or a good organization around him that can help develop these guys, they will show up in these big-time moments. You're facing these big-time teams every year. Mm-hmm. Going into the pods is going to be a little bit different, but you're still going to have shots to these big-time teams being the SEC. So you put 1 year together, you have a shot for the playoffs. You have a shot for national championship. I think Lane Kiffin's got to do it. Is it going to be this year? No. But future, Ole Miss, they're coming.
Do it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Moving into one of the night games, this is going to be my South Carolina Gamecocks going to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on Tennessee in their quote unquote Super Bowl. And I'm gonna dive into this game a little bit because the Tennessee fans have been on an outrage online about this game and saying how this is the ultimate like revenge game and how all of a sudden somehow we disrespected them last season and this and that and that and this. And to put it clearly, and it still astounds me that this game is Tennessee's a 12-point favorite. And I'm gonna break it down for you real quick. Last season, people think that, oh, this was just a fluke that they won that game last year. South Carolina beat them last year. They went on the field and beat them. It was a sound beating that they took last year. And to me, looking at this Tennessee team, they're nowhere close to as good as they were last year. And I'm not saying South Carolina is either, but I'm saying look at the resumes that each team has put on through the season so far. Tennessee has struggled and shown some real problems in the first half of their games in a lot of these games this season. And I think the number for the line is very inflated because of how they played last week against UTSA. But you got to think you playing against a UTSA who's out without their starting quarterback, without their starting wide receiver, their leading wide receiver on the team, and their leading running back. And of course, you're supposed to put up those numbers and supposed to play well against a team like that. Tennessee's walking into a game with from what the reports are saying, a beat up Joe Milton who's going to play. And 3 of their star receivers are questionable for the game. Everybody's going to play. I'm not falling for the fair or anything like that. But Tennessee, from what I've watched this year, is a team who Joe Milton is not an accurate quarterback. He has the cannon, but he's not accurate with the football. And what they've leaned on this season is rushing the ball. They have 3 good running backs on this team, and they like running the ball. South Carolina has bought into, for the past 2 weeks, stopping the run. South Carolina last week against Mississippi State held the leading SEC rusher to 27 yards rushing. They sold out to stop the run and say, you got to beat me through the air. Now, that's not to excuse the secondary because they got torched for 487 yards through the air by Will Rogers. But I do believe Will Rogers is one of the better passers in this conference than anybody else. And I think that's clear and said. You got another efficient night from Spencer Rattler last week against Mississippi State, going for 18 for 20, 288, 3 touchdowns. I think you're going to see him continue to do that again on Saturday. And I do think that South Carolina is going to come out with this win against Tennessee. The one test Tennessee had this season was going to Gainesville, and they looked awful against Florida, who I don't think is a good team. South Carolina has found their run game, so to speak. It's not beautiful, it's not perfect, but it's a run game. And that improves. Shane Beamer right now in his tenure is 9-0 if you can run the ball over 100 yards. If you get 100 yards rushing, he's 9-1. Got to have some type of run game. And at the same time, I do not believe in Tennessee's secondary. I think their secondary is still trash. I don't think it's any better than it was last year. And I think Spencer Rattler is going to tear them up through the air on Saturday in Knoxville. And go ahead and stun this crowd. I've seen everything from these crowds is, we taking South Carolina's colors. We're going to wear black. It's going to be a blackout and all this kind of stuff. And another point before I hand it off is, and I think it's going to be a huge point of this game, I think they've put so much pressure on themselves. And my camera just died. Oh, in the middle of it. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. They've put so much pressure on themselves, and I've seen it time and time again before I get my equipment right. They have talked up this game ever since the loss happened last season. They have talked about how they want revenge on South Carolina, how, the whole fan base is excited for it. The players have been talking about it. And then all of a sudden this week, now all of a sudden you switch to say, oh, it's just another game. No. I think they circled this game. And one thing that can happen when you do that is you get too emotionally involved in the game. When you're too emotionally involved and too hot-headed, you're going to be sitting there all day thinking about it because it's a night game. You tend to make mistakes. The pressure is too tight. for a team that is not that good. And so, to me, South Carolina's going to win this game. I think they're going to make some mistakes. And I think coming from hanging around a lot of South Carolina fans as we listen to the radio, listening to Shane, listening to the players, they're seeing this as just another game. They're not holding this game to any high standard in any regard. They've been to Georgia, taken on Georgia, should have beat Georgia again, should have beat Georgia in the second half of that game. I think they took that as a learning experience on how to play on the road. And I think you'll see that show Saturday, and when they go ahead and go to Knoxville and go whoop Tennessee's ass.
All righty. So for your camera diet, I'm gonna go ahead and just say we're gonna put up a good, funny South Carolina clip beating Tennessee, because I got South Carolina winning this game as well. To me, this is South Carolina's Super Bowl and Tennessee's Super Bowl. South Carolina does not have the talent to win against Georgia. Yes, it'll be amazing. Columbia, South Carolina will go off the chart if we ever did that. Yeah, we did it before, but we don't have it right now. This Tennessee team is vulnerable. We've already seen that. I think, to me, if Tennessee knew what they had like they did last year in these type of games at home when they had Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, we know we got home run hitters. We know what we got on our team. You got to stop us, and we know our identity. I don't see that this year. To me, they're still in the process of trying to see if Joe Milton is that guy. To me, he does it against little teams, but this is a big-time moment where you can have a team that says, we're going to have the defense that you can score on. I expect Tennessee to put up 30+, but I expect South Carolina to do the same exact thing on Tennessee. So I think it's going to be a shootout. South Carolina and Spencer Rattler's already shown that, hey, we can stand up if we're healthy enough to do it in shootouts because we got our quarterback in Spencer Rattler. I still got questions about Joe Milton. So to me, I have the test so far this year, had the experience and had the quarterback play to go into a big game and win it. Now, the thing that can mess them up is a bad offensive line play again and terrible penalties. I don't remember the exact stat, but South Carolina is not the best in penalties this year. We can't go on the road and have this because the crowd is going to be rocking early. To me, I think this game is going to have the early feels of what Alabama and Tennessee was last year because it's the first really, truly big game back in Knoxville. So to me, when I think of Tennessee, I think, yeah, you're going to have moments, but I think you're going to lay an egg in the end and you're going to lose it to South Carolina because I think last year's game is not a fluke. Tennessee fans are going to rob about this game and think it's a revenge game because Hendon Hooker got hurt. They had championship aspirations for that team last year, and Hendon Hooker getting hurt messed up all their hopes and dreams. So to me, yeah, they're feeling salty, but they don't have the same team they had last year. This is South Carolina's moment to say, we're not going to disappear in the Eastern Conference, in the east side of the SEC. We're not going to get that second SEC East loss. We're going to have our chance to get it. This is their time to do it. I think they have the firepower and the quarterback in Spencer Rattler to come in there and upset them by at least 10 points. I don't think it's going to be a nail biter. I think you'll be disappointed in Tennessee. I might be wrong, but I just don't think Tennessee got that grit yet.
I think you're right on, as a matter of fact. The one thing I love about what Carolina has done, and I originally had Tennessee projected to win this game. This was one of Carolina's losses that I had them, but I'm going to have to flip that. I think Carolina has played in 2 big games already. One was a neutral site. One was on the road against #1 team in the country. Right. South Carolina is playing above where they should be playing with injuries and, just the lack of this or that, lack of a running game, this and that, whatever. I think Shane Beamer is a great coach. He motivates these kids to play. Carolina has every reason in the world to win this game. Tennessee has every reason in the world to lose this game. Without the quarterback play, I can stop right there. Quarterback play, Rattler. I think he's 2-3 times the quarterback that Milton is. We didn't know that at the beginning of the season because we didn't know Milton. We didn't know what he was going to bring to the table. But now we kind of see what it is. Even though the game is on the road, it's going to be loud. Tennessee has to just like they did with Georgia, take those first few punches, take them like a grown man, settle in. By halftime, you might be down a little bit. Take the game over from there. Stop the run. Torch that secondary, Mr. Rattler. You got all the ingredients, all the pieces, all the recipes, everything you need to be able to do this. This is Carolina's game. Carolina's gonna win this game. I'm not gonna say Tendril, but I'll give him a touchdown. Easy. I'm not worried about Carolina losing this game.
And the reason I know you want to say the point, I know you want to get into it. But the reason I say a little bit more than 7 is because Tennessee's secondary to me is just weak.
Mm-hmm.
And Leggett is the type of receiver to take advantage of that. He's not no little receiver that you could just be physical with and knock him out. He's going to get the ball, I think, at least 150. Touchdown or so. I think it's kind of that Alshon Jeffrey type of player that was back in the day when Steven Garcia, that you could say, okay, when things go left, this is my guy. I was questioned about him against Georgia's type of defense because they got so much talent around them. But there's holes in Tennessee's defense. Spencer Rattler's going to find those holes. I think Shane Beamer is the type of coach that has his team poised enough to go in there ready. Tennessee, I hope y'all are ready. I pray to God y'all are ready because this is going to look ugly if y'all lose this game for the rest of the season.
I'll tell you what, my last point, I wanted to give this out. My 2 keys to the game that I have for this game is, of course, what you have to do on defense if you're South Carolina is the opposite, half of the opposite of what you did last week against Mississippi State. Mississippi State, they tried to play a zone because of how dangerous Will Rogers was, and it got ate up. You stopped the run successfully, which is what they have to do again this you got to do that again this week. Stop the run, and I think you got to play man-to-man on Tennessee's receivers. I don't think they have any superstar receivers on their team. Make Joe Milton have to be an accurate quarterback, which he has proven through 4 weeks of the season that he can't be in a complete game. He can have flashes, that's fine, but he hadn't done it for a complete game. I think you do those 2 things on defense. I think Spencer Rattler's going to put up points, as they've shown that they're going to do that this season, and that those are my keys that you're going to pull this game out.
And one more thing, Carolina get past this game.
This is where it starts.
There's a chance that they could run the table.
Yes, and
look at the schedule. Look at the schedule.
Yeah. This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago. We said after Georgia, there was no game on their schedule that they could not win, that you look at it and say that's a loss. Every game going forward is a game that says, hey, they can win that game.
Yep. So watch out. Just watch Carolina. Like I said, I don't think they can't make it to the SEC championship, but they could very easily finish the second best team in the East. Just watch.
But I think that's big for them because I think that's what Beamer needs. I think his issue with recruiting is we're still in the middle of the pack in the East.
Yeah.
It's almost like that Tennessee factor. They said, okay, we're the last year, we're the second in the East. Now they got hype. Now, if you go and derail them tomorrow, going into Saturday, I'm sorry. But I think overall, if you're going to derail them going into Saturday, it's something that could change the momentum for Carolina and Columbia going into the rest of the season. Because I think they got a couple of away games that we've seen them slip on in the past.
Yep.
And I hope they don't slip. This could be one. You could go in there Saturday and see a terrible, awful, unprepared South Carolina team. But I don't think we're going to see that based on what they're going through in the past. So I think right now they got the year and the momentum to have that 2-loss year and that kind of be it. But you got to have some big wins. This is going to be the biggest test. I know Georgia was on the schedule, but we knew what that was really going to be. I know y'all said South Carolina, but we knew what that was going to be. So to me, this is their one game that they can say, we're going to take it to their house. We're going to upset them. That's why I got them by 10. I don't think it's really going to be close. I think they're going to take shots at each other. But I just think Tennessee is just overall disappointing. I think if they start slow like they've shown, man, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be real ugly here.
South Carolina has proven this season which has been the opposite of previous 2 years under Shane Beamer. South Carolina comes out and scores early in football games this season. Those first drives that South Carolina takes, they usually go get a touchdown in almost every game that we've had this season. And another thing is Tennessee fans and Tennessee in general likes to think that they are the dominant team out of the 2. Since they started playing each other, and not since they started playing each other, but since Spurrier got here in 2005, the overall record between South Carolina and Tennessee is 9-9. They are exactly equal. And the way the years have gone has been win 3 in a row, lose 3 in a row, win 3 in a row, lose 3 in a row. It's gone back and forth that entire time. You got South Carolina points have been 478 points in this series ever since 2005. Tennessee's points is 476. So 2-point difference. Double-digit wins. South Carolina has had 4 of them. Tennessee has had 3 of them. I'm telling you right now, this is not as, I don't know why the 12-point favorite, but this is not going to be an easy game for Tennessee. South Carolina's going to win it. But we'll be on this topic all day. So let's go ahead and hang and go on and move on to the night game, 9 p.m. in Starkville, Mississippi. We got Alabama on the road at Mississippi State. Alabama is a 2-touchdown favorite in this game. I do believe this game for Bama is going to be, I think it's going to be interesting. I think Bama's going to win it. I got Bama winning it. Will Rogers, I think one thing is last week, the coaching staff finally realized who they had under center in Will Rogers and what kind of offense they need to run with him. The first 3 weeks of the season before the South Carolina game, Mississippi State was trying to be a run-dominant team, and that's not what they are. You have a high-powered top 3 quarterback in the conference in Will Rogers. You got to let him sling it, which is what he did last week against South Carolina. Now, on the other side, I think for Bama having Milroe back under center, I think you saw the team respond glowingly versus how they played against South Florida. They looked motivated offensively and defensively. It didn't look pretty a lot of the time, but you saw the confidence in the team kind of grow. They kind of look like, hey, we're ready to follow our leader. We know he's our guy. We want to go to war for this guy. That's what we're doing. We saw the dominant defense that I think a lot of people have been waiting to see from Bama this season. And I think you'll continue to see that going forward for this Bama team this year. So I got Bama winning this game on the road. I got them. I'll take the 14.5 points that the line has. I do think it'll be interesting to see how the defense looks against a passer as good as Will Rogers, but I do think they'll answer. I think they'll stop the run against the SEC's leading rusher right now. And I got them handling this game. Getting late in the fourth quarter, I got them taking it over and going ahead and winning it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I got Bama winning this one, but I could say so many different points on this game because there's so many different factors into why I think this game is actually important for Bama. One, I don't think it's a easy environment. Going out into them cowbells is going to be something that's going to overall disrupt the flow of your team. We've seen Bama in the last 2 to 3 years. They've had horrendous offensive efficiency when it comes to penalties. If we get into a penalty issue, we are going to be in a position where we're going to lose this game. Second thing with Jalen Milroe. To me, yes, you know that you are the guy. Yes, but I still need to set their place. I think overall the offensive game plan last week at Ole Miss was more suited to what he's good at, which is what I think we need. But the interception, what the hell are you doing? I mean, the stuff that you are not seeing truly befuddle me. I mean, I'm just like, how do you not see that? Because you're pre-guessing things. But overall, I think this game right here, you're going to be able to make big plays. I think Bama's going to be able to put up 30-plus points. But this right here is the defense. And I think that's why Nick Simmons in the media being a little bit more harsh on his team this week, throwing out a little bit more, we call that rat poison. Because to me, if they're slipping, Will Rogers is the guy that can put up 300 yards passing. We've had quarterbacks come through and we've played decent, in the past game. Quinn Ewers lighted us up late, but I think that was our experience type game. Now we're ready for this type of passing attack, and I think our defense will be overall prepared for it. My biggest point in this is the turnover battle. Penalty is going to be huge. Quarterback is going to be huge, but the turnover battle is going to be huge. We cannot go in this game having 1+ turnovers. We cannot. We have to be efficient on taking care of the ball, and our defense got to get a couple picks. We're so close to it. We're on the verge of being able to take these picks back to the house, being able to be real stats, but we always get in our own way and reward for having a penalty. We just got to be efficient, be a complete team. I think this is the game to do it. Going back to the aspects of what we've been trying to figure out with this team is who are the right guys to be in position for the big-time games. I truly think there's something weird on why Jalen Milroe did not play against South Florida. But to me, I think the Texas game and the South Florida game were the two anomalies of the season. I think you saw us at our worst, and I think that those were our best, the terrible conditions overall, what we're trying to prove. Now I think we know who we are. We just got to prove that we can be that team, and I think we're going to do it. Mississippi State showed that they're really not who they are in the LSU loss, coming in their house getting beat like that. I think we could do exactly the same, but I think it's going to be about turnovers. Can Jalen Milroe hold on to the ball and be efficient as a QB? I got Bama by 20 points.
I think Milroe could throw 2 or 3 interceptions in this game and Bama could still win it. It wouldn't. That's not what they want. But Mississippi State, Will Rogers is a fantastic quarterback. I love everything about him. I don't think his offensive line is going to be able to hold up. And I'm talking about for the whole game. Will Rogers is going to be on the ground a lot. I got Bama probably tallying anywhere between 3 and 5 sacks in this game. It's gonna be ugly. I finally saw a screen pass, y'all. It didn't work. I can't remember what happened, but when they called a screen pass, they ran it. I was like, this is what Milroe needs. You know, we need more screens, tunnel screens, bubble screens. You know, I think what's happening with Milroe is Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa, I think he is kind of giving Jalen Milroe what he thinks his first read, his second read, the third read should be. What needs to happen is Milroe figure that out on his own. You know what I'm saying? Because Milroe is telegraphing his throws. Quarterbacks telegraph throws when their coach told them this is the receiver that should be open. Okay. It's too obvious. He drops back, looks to the left, and just throws it with reckless abandon. Now, he took a hit on the deep ball. The guy throws the deep ball so daggone pretty, man. It don't make any sense. His arm is so strong. And I even saw design runs this past weekend.
Yes.
Which is what he needs. I want to see more RPO action, right? Let him read the defensive end. Let him go. They can figure this out. I like what I saw against Ole Miss. Not being able to punch it in from the 1-yard line, I think was a complete shamockery. You know, so I guess what I'm saying in all this is I still don't know what Bama is. I still don't know. Special teams, I think maybe special team, the defense, I think are probably the 2 best units out of the 3. I like what I saw out of the running game. Mississippi State's not going to do anything with Alabama. I'd be hard to think that they get 5 or 6 first downs in this game. It's going to be ugly. Starkville is just about a 45-minute ride from Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a quasi home game for Alabama. If Alabama comes out and does what they're supposed to do against Mississippi State, they'll start to get the media to kind of talking, okay, maybe Bama's back a little bit. You know, they need a little swagger. Bama's had swagger for years. They need that swagger back. The game to get that swagger back. I got Bama by 28. It's gonna look like Clubber Lang and Rocky Balboa the first time they clash. That's what it's like.
Right.
Pain.
I think what we're seeing with this team is something that's so unfamiliar in the aspect of Nick Saban truly back to coach almost everything. Yes, these are some former OCs and DCs, but these are new guys in his system. So I think what we saw in South Florida was him giving Tommy Rees a chance to say, we're going to see what you got to do with this Tyler Buckner and this different quarterback stuff. But if that don't work out, we're going back to what the hell I want. And I think that's what we saw, especially after that 1-yard line mishap, was Nick Saban saying, what the hell are we doing? That's not Bama football.
Why we in shotgun?
Exactly. When you get here, this is what we do. You can do a quarterback sneak aspect. I thought that's exactly what we're going to do with who Jalen Milroe was.
Yep.
I'm like, what are we doing? I'm happy to see the design QB runs. I was looking for that since number 2 was on the field. But to me, I think Nick Saban's coaching things from his coaching staff, from his QB, from his secondary, and from the overall team aspect of it's so much to do. I don't think Mississippi State has any type of team to stop us this weekend. But is Bama going to stop themselves? Like I said, I still got Bama big, but I think this is a test of who you are mentally, because it might be a slow roll for Bama. This is the type of season where nobody's taking over. If you're watching the country, it might be a 2-loss team in the playoffs because nobody's taking over. We're getting into the part of the season where these big-time teams are taking each other out. So we really see what we made of. Bama got a loss early, but can slow roll their way into the SEC championship, into the national playoffs. But this is going to be a test of who they are mentally.
I agree. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead, hit that like button. Go ahead, leave a comment. Hey, if this is your first time watching, go ahead, join the wave. Get on board. We having fun. We giving insight. We got the facts straight, giving our opinions. Go ahead, get in the comments. We want to debate. We want to talk. Give us something to talk about. But until then, I'm Ivan. This is Drew. This is Sean. We'll catch y'all next time.
Roll Tide, y'all.